Hey there, everybody. Surely everyone knows what a Kinder Milk Slice is, right? Today, we decided to make one on a truly unimaginable scale. But first, let's open it up and see what it's made of. Here, we see 2 chocolate biscuits and a bunch of cream. It's obviously very tasty, but the cream is a little chemically. Let's go to the store. We decided to split the purchase up into 2 stages. Today, we're doing the first. We'll buy all the groceries we need to make huge biscuits. The first thing we need is chicken eggs, as many as 840 of them. The next thing we'll need is sugar. This will take up to 30 kilograms. 11 kilograms of cocoa powder. 2 kilograms of baking powder. 25 kilograms of flour, 13 liters of oil. With all this, we're headed to the checkout. First purchase cost us $245. Now we'll cook the biscuits in our huge oven. But we need to preheat it so it has time to warm up. Now we open up the boxes of eggs. We take out 2 trays and put them on the lower part of the table. We need 420 eggs for 1 batch. We put 2 containers on the table, one smaller, the other bigger. Now we take the eggs and separate the yolks from the whites. It took us about 1.5 hours to separate all the eggs. Done. We set the egg whites aside for now. We take the sugar, open it, and pour 15 kilograms into the yolks. Now, using a cement mixer, we beat the yolks into the sugar until the whole mixture turns white. Now we take 6 liters of oil, open it, and fill her up. If we use any less, our biscuit just won't hold its shape the way we need it to. Then we mix well. Ready for our next step. We need 5.5 kilograms of cocoa powder. We open it and pour it out. And now we mix. It takes another 20 minutes or so to mix it all up, and we're left with a very thick dough. Now, we need to carefully pour in 6.5 liters of boiling water. We'll mix this in so that the dough thins out a bit. Done. Now we need flour. We'll start by pouring in the first 5.5 kilograms. And mix it up. Then we'll add another 7.5 kilograms. Now we add in another kilogram of baking powder. And we get a nice, even dough. Our pot is filled to the brim, so we'll take a big wash basin and move our dough into it. Now let's take our egg whites and pour some of them into another saucepan. We tried beating them with our industrial mixer, but it didn't work out. I guess it's pretty impossible to beat that many egg whites into a dense mixture. So we decided to use a self-mixer that does everything itself. Let's pour a little bit of the egg whites into each of them. And turn it on. the process has started. After about 5 minutes, we get this foam. That means it's time to add sugar. We'll mix this for another 2 minutes, and then we can move these whipped egg whites into the chocolate dough. Now let's carefully mix it with a spatula so that none of the air bubbles come out of the whipped mixture. We're going to load in our next portion of egg whites. Move it back to the bowl and mix. As a result, you're going to have a really lush dough. With the second half already in the basin, we do the same thing. Now our biscuit dough is ready. But what do we bake it in? We got help from a friend in a workshop. They drafted up a drawing on a computer, which sends the blueprint to a huge machine that uses a laser to cut out the desired piece of sheet metal. We take our piece of metal from the machine and cut out the places for bends with a grinder. Now we bend the edges until we get a box shape formed. Then all the seams are welded together, and we're left with a giant baking sheet. Now we pour oil all over it and smear it around with a brush. We take out some parchment and cover the baking sheet with it. Thanks to the oil, our parchment will stick well to the sheet. So we cover the whole thing. Done. Now we pour out dough onto it and level it out. Done. We transfer the baking sheet into the oven and push it in. We'll bake this for 4 hours at 180 degrees. Then we turn off the oven and leave the biscuit in there until morning, so it has time to set and thicken. The next morning, we take it out. It's risen a little and completely baked. Now we need to make sure the tender part of the biscuit is at the top. We figured out the best way to do it is by applying plywood to the top and 2 planks to the sides. We'll fix these together tightly with clamps. We want to remove the baking sheet for now, so we put another piece of plywood on the table with 4 bricks on it and turn the whole thing over. We remove the clamps and gently lift off the baking sheet. We end up with a beautiful biscuit that weighs as much as 50 kilograms. And it only took 2 days to prepare it. We'll set it aside for now. Now we need to knead the dough for another identical biscuit. Load it all into the oven, close the doors, and the next morning we have another biscuit, just as beautiful as the first one. It's time to go pick up the groceries to make the cream. The first thing we need is a lot of condensed milk. 6 2-liter packages of milk, an unrealistic amount of Amish cheese, 80 kilograms. We'll need agar-agar. We took 200 packages. 2 kilograms of vanilla sugar. 3 5-liter jugs of water. We take all this to the checkout and bag it all up. Our second check came out to $506. We put the Amish cheese that we bought onto the table and open them up. We had 80 kilograms of Amish cheese. All this needs to be ground up, and preferably quickly. We remove the front plate from the mixer and attach the meat grinder to it, and the saucer on top. We open another plate and attach the blender. We take a package of cheese, open it, and pour part of it into the blender and the other part into the meat grinder. We close the blender and put a saucepan below the grinder and turn on the mixer. While we are pushing the cheese through the meat grinder, the blender is taking care of everything on its own. The only help it needs is to periodically move out the cheese curds. We ground it all using 6 hands until the cheese runs out. 3 hours later, we have a whole pan of this cheesy mass. We take the tub of water and move the cheese mass into it. We open the vanilla sugar and pour it in. Now we just need the condensed milk. We open a bottle and pour the whole thing into the mixture. We made sure to buy extra, so there's a lot left. Now we use the industrial mixer to mix the cheese with the milk. We're left with a creamy mass. We take 3 jugs with water in a saucepan. Open the water and pour it out. Now we take agar-agar, open it, and pour all 200 packets into the water. For now, just mix the agar-agar and leave to soak for 30 minutes. We cut off part of the roll of industrial foil with a grinder and wrap it around the bottom biscuit in a circle. We fix all this together with tape. And to keep it all even tighter, we will also attach the boards on the sides with the same adhesive tape. It turned out to be such a good form for filling the cream that it doesn't spread. Put a saucepan with water and agar-agar on the stove. Boil for 2 minutes and pour in hot milk. Mix well. This liquid will make the cheesy mass harden, and that way it won't be crushed under the weight of the second biscuit. Pour half into one basin and mix well. Now the second half. While the filling has not started to thicken, we quickly transfer it to the biscuits. Level the filling and leave it to cool overnight. The next morning, the cream is hardened. We remove the foil framework. We had a very tall layer of cream turn out. Finally, the big moment. All that remains is to put the second biscuit on the cream. Done. We finally made a Kinder Milk slice. All it took was 6 days. After calculating the weight of the groceries we bought, we found out that our huge dessert weighs as much as 210 kilograms and costs $766. Let's cut off a piece. Hello everyone. I think many people watching have eaten such a Nutella and go. We open up the pack, and we see crispy sticks that need to be dipped in chocolate paste. Pretty cool stuff. Today we will make exactly the same, only bigger. To do this, we will need a lot of nuts. They're raw now, therefore we open them and scatter all the nuts onto baking sheets. Then we send this all into the oven. We will roast them at 200 degrees in convection mode. Thanks to this, the nuts will become many times more fragrant. After 20 minutes, we go and get them. Sometimes the hazelnut shell can be bitter, but I tried and everything's fine with these nuts and it's pointless to peel them. Therefore, for convenience, we simply pour them into bowls. Nutella also needs sugar, milk chocolate, cocoa, and salt. We collect 800 grams of nuts and pour them into a blender. Also add 4 tablespoons of milk chocolate, the same amount of sugar, 2 tablespoons of cocoa, and salt for balance. We cover everything up with a lid and install in the mixer. We crush the whole mass for 40 minutes until it turned into a paste. Now we transfer it to a custom-made container. The blender wasn't good enough for a second portion of Nutella, and it broke. Therefore, we will have to change the cooking technology a little bit. We install a meat grinder into the mixer, pour nuts into the saucer, and grind them. And we knead through a really fine grid. Thus, we pass all the hazelnuts through it, and pour 800 grams of already crushed nuts into the melange. This includes sugar, chocolate, and salt. Well, we wait half an hour until it grinds all into a paste. We shift the Nutella into a mold and load the next portion. Later, we made a double portion at once and brought the paste to such a super smooth consistency. We cooked Nutella all day until we filled out the form. Our paste is made. It remains to cook large sticks. We'll bake them in our big oven. But first, we'll chop some wood and make a fire. We push the firewood into the oven and let it warm up. For the dough, pour 3 liters of 330 milliliters of water. There is also quite a lot of salt, sugar, and dry yeast. Pour 1 kilogram of flour and mix with a whisk until the dough becomes homogeneous. We wait half an hour for the yeast to work and add 4 kilograms of flour. Knead the dough with a spatula. Pour in 300 milliliters of oil and knead it with your hand. Now cover it up with film. Literally half an hour in the sun, and it has risen pretty good. We mince it a little bit. And again covered up with film. Do not forget to throw firewood so that the stove continues to heat up. The dough is ready. We tear off a part of it and put it on the scales. Each stick will weigh 850 grams. We dust the tip with the flour. Our dough is on it. We stretch it and spread it out with our hands. We turn it up and pinch it until we form such a long stick. We fold it 3 times. And with the help of a spatula, we transfer it to a huge baking sheet. We return the dough to its previous form. We make a fold on the parchment, and we prop it all up with a towel. Thus, we form 5 strips of dough. Meanwhile, the stove is warmed up pretty well. Rake the coals to the sides. Inside the stove, we need to raise the humidity. Therefore, we fill up a balloon with water. Tighten the lid. And pump the air, creating pressure. And now we spray water evenly on the hot bricks from this spray gun. The dough sticks have already risen. They need to be stretched out on a baking sheet. We trim it a little bit with our hands and push it into the oven. We close it with 2 lids. And after half an hour, we open it back up. The first batch of huge sticks with Nutella is ready. Let's make another one. In my opinion, the second batch turned out even more beautiful. An enlarged copy of the Nutella box was made to order for us. Shake the can of primer and cover the box with it. After that, we blow everything out with brown paint. We transfer the box to the studio. Arm ourselves with acrylic paints, brushes, and rollers. Now we need white paint. We draw borders with a brush. And we make a white background with a roller. We draw the outline of the inscriptions with a pencil. And we decorate it all. Done. We insert our Nutella mold into the box. As well as the huge sticks. In my opinion, it turned out really great. Well, let's take a stick and dip it into the Nutella. And let's try it. Our dough sticks are very tasty, although not as crispy as in the original. But the Nutella is very similar and tastes even more nutty. In general, I think that our huge Nutella worked out really well. Write in the comments, I want another huge meal, VANZAI, and I will definitely come up with something. Be sure to like this video and subscribe to the channel. Bye, everybody.